Hey guys, welcome to AFC Game by Game. This is my review of Arsenal's 1-1 draw with Tottenham Hotspur at the Emirates Stadium yesterday lunchtime. I'm making this review about 24 hours after the game, just so I've had a bit more time to absorb and reflect on what was a very indifferent performance from Arsenal yesterday. Before I get into the depth of this video, just want to say massive apologies that I wasn't able to bring you a preview for this massive fixture. It was certainly something I wanted to do, but time hasn't been on my side as of late, and it's a big regret that I wasn't able to talk about some really quite pressing topics heading into the match. But nonetheless, it was a very frustrating result yesterday, and I'm sat here 24 hours later, and I'm still devastated with the point that we got. We had a very good chance to pick up 3 points yesterday, and it's put monumental pressure on their game away from home at Old Trafford. And given that United have been playing abysmally this season, despite their 3-0 win against Swansea, who everyone seems to be beating at the moment, I still would expect us to struggle away from home at Old Trafford, and that's a game that I'm really not looking forward to. But we've put ourselves in a position where we've got to go to Manchester and claim 3 points. If we'd have won today, it would have put us in a position where we could have, just about scraped a point at Old Trafford, and it wouldn't have looked like an awful result. But now, given that we've drawn today, we have to go to Old Trafford and win. 4 points from Spurs and United is not bad by any means, but it's still frustrating knowing that we should have beaten Spurs yesterday. And I think it was a case of a lot of the players got so caught up in the North London derby. There was so much build-up, so much intensity surrounding this match, and in my opinion, it was the biggest North London derby in quite some time. It's just a shame that a game of this stature couldn't be reflected in such good free-flowing football on the pitch. Arsenal just looked like a different team yesterday to the one that's been playing against the likes of Sunderland, Ludogorets, playing such good expansive football, and we didn't see an Arsenal team that is recognisable yesterday. And as I say, I think a lot of players got caught up in the derby. Spurs went into this game very war wounded. They had Moussa Dembele come into the side, who I thought was personally going to be out. They saw Harry Kane come back in, so they were always going to be a threat up top in that sense. But they didn't have Moussa Sissoko, who, I mean, to be honest, how much of a difference would he have made in this game? But Dele Alli was ruled out. They played five at the back, which we certainly were not expecting. I think Spurs had a better game plan going into this than us, and they did line up with three centre halves, played wing backs, and we were not expecting that in this game. I don't think we particularly expected Harry Kane to start, so I think we're a bit shell shocked in that sense. And as I say, Spurs started this game a lot stronger in that opening 10 minutes, but fair play to us. We rode through that storm. The intensity from our side was very good, but at the same time, we looked a little bit panicky at times. It did take us about 15 minutes to grow into the game and have a real first opportunity on goal. We were certainly in control of the game, I would say. We had more shots. We had more shots on target. I believe we had 7 shots compared to Spurs' 3. Saying that, we did only have 1 shot on target. We had a good few chances through Mesut Ozil, who I think had the real first chance. Francis Coquelin had a volley. Would have been beautiful if that had gone in, but unfortunately it was blocked. Jan Vertonghen made an abysmal foul, gouging Theo Walcott's face, and Mark Clattenburg didn't see that, didn't even award a foul our way. Vertonghen gave away quite a few fouls, and he went rather unpunished for the majority of this match. I thought Clattenburg had an awful game all round. He was not in a position to be refereeing a game of that intensity and that stature. I thought he had an appalling game yesterday. That's not to say that the penalty Spurs got was undeserved. I certainly thought that was a penalty, but I'll get onto that a little bit later. I don't want to get caught up in refereeing decisions so early on into this analysis of the match. Regarding Arsenal's team lineup, we saw a few changes. Theo Walcott came back in following his injury, and I thought he had a rather mixed game. There were times when he could have done a little bit better. You could tell that he's just coming back from a small injury. He had a fantastic effort on goal, which hit the crossbar. But all round, I thought he had a fairly decent game. He was no worse than anyone else was on the pitch. So fair play to Theo Walcott for coming back in. We saw Alexis Sanchez return to that striking role. To be honest, I thought he struggled in this game. I really did think he struggled to make an impact on the match. Mesut Ozil as well, another player that I think struggled to make an impact, and I think that's credit to Spurs' resilient defence. They didn't give us an inch in this game. Our midfield was practically non-existent at times. There were a lot of opportunities where we cleared the ball from our own area, had a great opportunity to chance a counter-attack, and we didn't do that. That's where we missed Santi Cazorla in this game. Granit Xhaka was superb throughout the entirety of this match. Francis Coquelin alongside him, he was okay, but I think would have been a lot more better off if we had Xhaka sitting and Cazorla alongside him. Unfortunately, Cazorla was out of this game following his Achilles injury. So, I mean, we did struggle in the midfield. Maybe it would have made more sense to start Aaron Ramsey in this game ahead of Francis Coquelin. To start 2 defensive-minded players at home to Spurs, I mean, it was a little bit negative from our perspective, but nonetheless, it was a midfield that on paper, I suppose, made sense in some ways. The defence I thought was superb all round, apart from giving away the penalty. Koscielny, I thought he was brilliant, but he is still capable of making rash decisions, as we saw with the penalty. But that's not to say he hasn't been the best centre half in the league this season. He certainly has. Mustafi alongside him, he was immaculate. Petr Cech made a few really good saves. Monreal and Bellerin, they were scintillating throughout the course of the game. Monreal did a really good job of keeping Kyle Walker quiet, and he's just shown that, at a time when the boat was rocking a little bit for him, he's come back into the side and he's proven what a quality fullback he is. So fair play to Nacho Monreal there. But yeah, as I say, it was a struggle in that first half. I mean, we didn't really stamp our authority on the game until about 15, 20 minutes in. We had a very, very good chance for Alex Iwobi. I can't quite recall who it was that played him in. I think it may have been Alexis Sanchez. But, I mean, that's an opportunity where you've got to be putting the ball in the back of the net. It was a very tame effort right at Hugo Lloris. And it surprises me with Alex Iwobi because last season when he just came into the team as a 19-year-old and he scored that goal against Everton, scored that goal against Watford, and the world was his oyster. This season, that just seems to have gone. It doesn't help that he hasn't scored a goal this season. But I think he's definitely got finishing in his locker. It's just a case of getting it out of him. So he's 20 years old. He's going through a bad patch at the moment. He's just got to ride it out. And the worrying thing is, on that left-hand side, unless we start playing Olivier Giroud up top and Alexis Sanchez on the left, we've only really got the options of Alex Iwobi or Oxlade-Chamberlain. So that's a little bit concerning in that sense, because we all saw how poor Chamberlain was when he came on. He looked very nervous, very fragile going into this game when he came on with about 25 minutes left. So that's a concern in my opinion. But hopefully Iwobi will come through this rather dark patch and come out a much stronger player. Let's not forget he is just turned 20 years old back in the summer. So, I mean, he's got plenty of time on his side to ride through this bad patch. We got the first goal through Kevin Wimmer. Thankfully, Mesut Ozil, delightful free kick, which Kevin Wimmer just couldn't resist but to put into his own net past Hugo Lloris to make it 1-0. And that was at a point when we were playing some very good football. We were very strong in the game, and we should have taken advantage of that. We could have had another goal shortly after. We could have gone into half time about 2-3-0 up. We had that many opportunities in that last 5 minutes of the first half, but to throw the game away so quickly into the second half, Spurs came out with a real game plan. They had real intensity behind their football, and they got that chance through Moussa Dembele, who practically just ran through our midfield. If someone had made the challenge that Koscielny did, but 10 yards further back, wouldn't be a problem. But it's the fact that we've allowed Moussa Dembele to run through our midfield. Coquelin hasn't put the challenge in, and then Koscielny's been forced into a position where he's got to make that foul on Dembele. I do feel sorry for the guy, but our defence was certainly at fault there. Harry Kane, who had an abysmal game, typically puts the ball into the back of the net to make it 1-1, and then the game could have gone either way from there. It was very even from that point, both sides having chances. We just didn't turn up for the second half, really. We had a real opportunity to stamp our authority on this game, and it's now, four North London derbies in the Premier League, and we haven't got a win. So, I mean, that's a concern in my opinion. We've got to be beating Spurs when we play them at White Hart Lane, which is going to be a massive, massive game. But let's not overreact, because a point against Spurs is not the end of the world. This is a Spurs team that have got one of the best defensive records in the Premier League, been playing some very good football this season, but they were going into this game low on confidence. They'd just lost to Bayer Leverkusen at Wembley. They'd drawn to West Brom, Bournemouth. But then on the flip side, they did beat Man City 4-0 not too long ago. So this is a Spurs team that has got a lot of talent within their ranks. But then again, it's the North London derby, and I always want to see Arsenal beat Tottenham, especially when we're playing them at home. So I'm going to feel frustrated for about the next 2 weeks over this result until we hopefully get a win over Manchester United, which should put things right. But I look around the Premier League now, and you look at how Liverpool put 5 goals in the back of the net yesterday against, who were they playing? Watford, beat them 5-1. They looked absolutely superb in that game. They're playing some cracking football. Will their defence let them down at some point? I don't know. They look a little bit rejuvenated with Jordi Matip coming in there. You look at Chelsea. They won 5-0 against Everton. An immaculate result for them. Man City drawing 1-1 with Borough. I mean, they're not really doing themselves any favours at the moment under Pep Guardiola. But I'm sure with the talent that they've got in their ranks, they'll come back firing at some point sooner rather than later. And then you look at United as well, who have been going through a terrible patch, but they beat Swansea 3-0 just before we go and play them at Old Trafford. So, it's going to be a difficult month for us, November. We've got PSG at home as well in a few weeks. Then we've got Bournemouth away. So a difficult couple of months coming up. And yeah, I am a little bit nervous. But I mean, again, let's not overreact. We are not even 3 months deep into the season, and we've got plenty of time on our side to rectify this. Literally 3 wins on the bounce and everything can change. This league is so unpredictable. It's so tight at the top. I'm convinced that one of those teams at the top of the league is going to slip away at some point. Let's just hope it's not us. But it's a very exciting Premier League season, especially for a neutral fan watching all these games prevail. If you're a supporter of West Brom or whatever, and you're watching the title race unravel, certainly an exciting time to be watching the title race. But yeah, there's not too much I can say on the match. I'm just deeply disappointed with how yesterday went. I hope we can get a win against Manchester United, and now we're into the dreaded international break. So, fair play for Jack Wilshere getting called back into the England squad. Theo Walcott got a call up as well. But yeah, I'm really disappointed with yesterday, to be honest with you. Big chance to get 3 points, and yeah, I know a point on paper isn't a terrible result, but I can only say it so many times. It's the North London derby, and we've got to be winning these games. But I'm going to wrap up on that note because this video has come up to 10 minutes long now. Please do get your thoughts on the game in the comments box below. Let me know your thoughts, as I say. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to AFC Game by Game, and I'll speak to you very, very soon.